everybody. So if you're noticing, like in several of my videos, I'm wearing the same clothes, it's because I'm totally filming a few videos like all at once because I am in like the perfect headspace for sharing, and I'm literally still drinking the coffee from my tarot memoirs video. I have more to say, so I'm gonna film it now while it's fresh, and I'm just having fun filming, and we'll go from there. So before I start sipping my coffee and just jumping right into it, what I want to talk about in this video is filtering, or how we turn the volume down on ourselves. And I've noticed myself doing that. So let me just jump right into it. So grab a cup of coffee if you want. I don't know if this is going to be long or short, and we'll just start talking. Literally, my coffee is almost cold because I talked for like an hour in the last video. So I realized something the other day. I was thinking about my intro video, the one where I talk about my tarot origin story, and I was cringing a little bit about how I tiptoed around certain areas of my life, like how I sort of like barely like skirted around certain topics. Sorry, my nose is really itchy, which it gets sometimes when I'm like in an intuitive place. So funny thing I noticed, but whatever. My nose is itchy. So I noticed that I tiptoed around a couple of topics. So I tiptoed around my queerness a bit. Not a bit. See, I'm doing it now. I tiptoed around my queerness. It's always a little strange to me, and Simon actually addressed this at one point. It's always a little strange to me that throughout my life I'm constantly coming out of the closet, like constantly. And part of that is because as a femme, I don't necessarily present very queer. So it's not obvious. And I kind of, that's a whole other topic that I could get into for I don't know how long. I'm not going to do that to you right now. But being femme comes with a certain amount of invisibility, a certain amount of people not immediately recognizing me as queer, which there was a time in my life when I needed to be recognized as queer. That was really important to me because for starters, I wanted to find my people, my community. And for seconders, I was admiring other women, like in context where I could potentially meet somebody to date. There was a time when I was not married and I would be treated like I didn't even exist by the people I was most like interested in, whether it was at clubs or whatever. So invisibility is a thing. And because invisibility is something that I've had a lot of personal experience with on a number of levels, visibility is obviously important to me. I want to be seen as who I am. And I think a lot of us want to be seen and accepted exactly as we are. But because we worry about how we're going to be perceived, judged, criticized, or because we worry about that, we literally take the volume button on who we are and we crank it down. And I did that a little bit in my first video, and that's despite my second video, I guess. That's despite the fact that I jumped into this YouTube community with a true intent in my heart of being completely authentic, of putting it all out on the table, because that is how I live my life as much as I possibly can. And still there was this fear around myself where I was like, ooh, how do I say this? Do I just say it? And the two things that I tiptoed around was my queerness and my spiritual path. So I have been pagan, that was the word I used in my first video, and a witch since I was about 19 or 20 years old. Earth-based spirituality was a no-brainer for me. It was a no-brainer. I was not raised really heavily involved in the Christian church, but there was heavy Christian influences around me. Unfortunately, or fortunately, there was a time when I had a really great, fantastic personal relationship with Christianity, with Christ. And I was very religious for some time of my own making, I guess. I've always been a spiritual person. I've always felt connected to the divine in some way. And there was a time when I had what I felt like was a very personal relationship with Christ. And so Christianity was fantastic for me, but it was also very personal. In a way, I was a solitary practitioner of Christianity. I had a very personal relationship with God, with Jesus. I read the Bible. I felt like I had a friend. And there was a time when that was really, really important to me. And then there was a time as I moved into my later teens when I sort of had a breakup with Christianity. And it's not Christianity's fault. I think Christianity is a beautiful path and serves a lot of people in their highest good. But at the time that I was struggling with my sexuality, at the time that I was struggling with experiences I'd had in my life, the archetype of Christ and of God that I had gotten to know completely let me down. And that was an archetype that I had built up or had been exposed to. And again, it's not Christianity's fault. It's not, I wasn't, abused within a religious context, none of that stuff. But I certainly had a difficult relationship with my biological father, and he was very Christian and raised in a very Christian household. And that had an impact on me. His lack of ability to understand or accept me had a huge impact on me. And these things made me realize that the Christ that I knew wasn't the Christ of the church, wasn't the Christ of Christianity as it's commonly expressed. And it was a very disjointed experience for me. So I discovered earth-based spirituality. And there was a few things about that that really caught my attention in the beginning. For starters, the divine feminine was a very powerful and continues to be a very powerful and healing influence in my life. Feminine figures of authority and of power have been a problem in my life. And so a divine mother was needed. I'm going to get emotional. A divine mother is needed in my life. Don't do the thing. Okay. So discovering the goddess was mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. Discovering a sense of personal power, and that is what I discovered through witchcraft. That is what I discovered through earth-based spirituality. Oh, that was important to me in my life. That was huge. And what I said in my last video, the tarot origin story, was, oh, I had a group of people I hung out with. Like, I totally turned the volume way down on something that was so important, is so important in my life. I have been a member of several powerful covens, beautiful covens. I have been embedded in multiple traditions. I have learned through multiple traditions. I have been a member of a large coven and a member of a very, very small and intimate and powerful coven. I have learned from my coven sisters and brothers. I have learned from high priests and priestesses. I have had an amazing journey. And these spiritual siblings that I've had throughout my life have been incredibly important to me. There's also been a lot of pain in my group spiritual work. And I think that's partly why I turned down the volume a little bit. Whenever there's a large community, there's the capacity for something to disrupt that community and for it to be big. And because it's involved in a community that was so important to me, when these big things have happened, they've been really traumatic. And sometimes little things happen. I moved to Canada. I moved away from my coven. Things changed. People grew apart. Some of that is normal stuff. A lot of that is normal stuff. Really, it's all normal stuff. But when things in my life happened that pulled me away from my spiritual path, or that necessarily required me to put my focus in different places, I've shifted paths so many times. I know I'm all over the place with this, but what I wanted to talk about a little bit was how I found myself afraid of judgment, afraid of other people's perspectives, other people's opinions. And my intention, my sacred intention for this channel is to be authentic, to be me, and to be real. And me and real me is a queer witch. I am a queer witch. And my path has become very eclectic. It has changed. It has ebbed and it has flowed. There have been times I've been in a structure with my spiritual path. There have been times that I've been very loose. There have been times when I've barely had a practice at all, many times. There have been times when I have a really deep and powerful and wild practice. But my spirituality became very personal to me over the last 10 years and very quiet and very, in a way, I suppose I'd turned down the volume on my spiritual path all on my own, like not even in the public eye. I had turned it down. But something about this YouTube community has reminded me of the rawness and the realness and the power and the stuff that I miss. And part of what I miss is getting my hands dirty, so to speak, in my spirituality. It's digging in. It's getting a little more fierce with the way that I practice my path. And so I realized when I watched my video back about my I'm not gonna ever finish my coffee ever. It's so cold. I'm still drinking it, but it's so cold. Still delicious. But what I realized watching all these videos recently and seeing how other people express themselves is that I had literally well, not literally, I'd figuratively tiptoed around what I am, what my path is. I specifically and maybe semi-consciously avoided the use of the word witch. I was like, I'm pagan. And I am pagan. But pagan is such a broad term, and I feel like I pulled some of the power away from it for me. I have 2 tattoos actually on my forearms. I don't know if they're going to show up. Let's see if I can show them without turning them upside down. I have this one, which is the triple. See, look at what I'm doing to my elbow. This is not healthy. Anyways, there's that one, which is my triple goddess. I'll turn it upside down so you can see what it looks like. Oh, can I actually rotate my arm that way? No, apparently not. Nope. Okay, you get that one. Okay, and then there's this one. And yeah, it's not the best. There we go. That shows it a bit. So this one is a lotus with a tiny little ladybug right there and an Om symbol in the center. And so this side represents the influence that yoga and the healing work of yoga has had on my personal life and how important it is as a part of my spiritual path. The little ladybug actually represents my inner child, and the unfolding of the lotus it speaks to me about the work that I've done to reconnect with this inner child and to bring her front and center. And then on this side with see if I can turn it like I did the other one. There we go. So this one with the triple moon goddess is a representation of goddess work and witchcraft and my pagan spiritual path, and how those things have had just as significant of an impact. And so together, these 2 pieces of work on my body remind me that without both of these things having played a significant role in my life, I would not be the person that I am today. And I have grown and overcome a lot of things in my life, as we all have, as most of us have. And it's taken a lot of work. And I realized that I disrespected that work by turning the volume down on my video, by overthinking how it was going to come across. I don't care if people don't like that I'm a witch, that makes them uncomfortable. I think it is easier and feels much safer now as a 40-year-old woman who's well established in her life and in the culture that we have today around the topic of paganism and witchcraft and where that plays a role in the world. I think it's easier and safer now to turn the volume back up, for sure. And it does take sometimes some thinking, because there was a time in my life when that would have been a really dangerous thing to do. But I think it's important. And I think I want to very mindfully not turn down the volume here on this channel. I want to really mindfully be normal volume. Normal volume. I don't need to be loud, but I want to be normal volume. And I wanted to point out how easy it is to fall into this trap of turning our own volume down, of filtering what we're going to say so that it appeals to the masses, so that it doesn't make anybody uncomfortable. Well, you know what? We need to be uncomfortable sometimes. My view on things doesn't have to be your view. If we're both willing to be uncomfortable and have a conversation about it, then maybe we'll both learn something, if not about each other at least. I think we need more even volume in this YouTube community. And I always, always want to remind everybody that when I say that, I am also very well aware that there's a certain degree of privilege in one's life that allows one, myself, for example, to be able to be vulnerable and to share as much as I do. If I were in a different place in my life, if I had a different sort of career, if I relied more on public opinion to put food on the table, if I was living in a more conservative geographical area, if there's so many things that would have made this not a sensible choice for me, for this channel, or for my life, but I'm not in that place, and I'm blessed to not be in that place, and I feel like it's important to be visible where we can, where we're comfortable, where it's safe. And so with an idea to the fact, or with a nod, more than a nod, with a moment of why can't I find my words? I really think it's important that as much as I talk about how it's important to me to be vulnerable and authentic, that everybody who's watching this video also understands that it's not fair or appropriate to expect that of every single person on YouTube or in the world, period. Because not everybody is in a place where they can. And not everybody is in a place where it's emotionally or mentally or psychologically safe to do so. But I am. And because I am, I'm going to be. And so I'm throwing it all out there. And speaking of being a witch, because this is super relevant, in one of my previous videos I mentioned how I would really love to have like a subscription to the Witch's Moon or something like that, but that if I do that I'm going to get all the subscription boxes. So I did a thing. I was talking to Peggy and I was like, I have a little money set aside, and I'm like, I really, really, really want to get a subscription box for Samhain for next month, for October. Well, the Witch's Moon was already sold out. And I was like, I really, really, really want to do this. And I started looking at subscription boxes, and I found one called the Witch's Box, which looked, it looked so good. It looked so good. And I got really excited, and I was like, I think I'm going to do this. I basically just told Peggy, I'm like, I think I'm going to do this. Is there any issue with me doing this? Are you okay with it? Because we make our financial decisions together most of the time when I'm being good. Sometimes I'm not. Sometimes a deck just shows up or is en route, and I forgot to mention it or discuss it beforehand. Anyway, it's another topic. But I was like, oh my gosh, there is this, I really want to do this for Samhain. And this one, I literally had like 2 days before the cutoff. In fact, it's probably past the cutoff now. I think it was yesterday that I ordered. So I signed up for the Witch's Box. And one of the things I am super excited about with the Witch's Box is that in every box you literally get, it's a part of the box that they call the Witch's Apothecary. Every box comes with glass jars full of herbs, different sizes and different herbs, and Book of Shadows pages that talk about those. I am so excited. I'm so excited. So I'm definitely going to be unboxing on my channel. But anyway, when I was talking to Peggy about this, and I'm like, okay, I really want to do this. So like, I'm just going to tell you up front, you need to say yes. Like, you probably should just got to the chase and say yes, because I really want to do it. I really want to do it. And she's like, yeah, go for it. And then you know what she said? You know when I said that if I get a subscription box that I want all the subscription boxes and that it's like a slippery slope? You know what my wife said to me? She's like, maybe you should get 2 and then you can compare them. And I was like, yes, yes, definitely yes. So I found another one that I want to try. It's not Witch's Moon because again, they're still sold out for Samhain. So I signed up for 3 months of House of Rituals by Tamed Wild, and I am super excited. I think the 2 boxes will work well together. So the Witch's Box seems to be more about foundational tools and herbs and sort of building a kit, and having it looks stunning. I'm so excited for that one. And House of Rituals sends you everything you need for a ritual in a box, so, or maybe multiple rituals, but for sure a ritual. And some of the items that they send look like they have some reusability, and then there's some consumables, which I like. I don't want to accumulate a ton of clutter, but I haven't updated my altar space in so long, and I feel this visceral need to, again, get my hands dirty with my craft again, to dig in deep and start playing with some of this stuff and getting back into more of a foundational solitary practice that feels really nurturing and helpful for me. And when I'm doing that, when I'm doing the work with the moons, when I'm doing the work with the Sabbats, I find that I get so much better with self-awareness and staying on my personal growth path. So I'm stoked. I'm so excited. So I'm gonna unbox those. We will see based on how they come in, like what the timing is like. We will see if I unbox them together in a single video or whether I do them separately. I think right now I'm kind of tempted to do them separately. And then because I have the House of Rituals for 3 months, I'm going to try to keep them both for at least 3 months and then either make a decision to stick with one for a while or maybe swap over to something totally new. So we will see how it goes. I am excited. I'm really excited about the Witches box because I feel like it's really comprehensive and I feel like there's a lot of neat, I think it's really cool that I'd be able to build a bit of an herbal apothecary. So that's really exciting and start to do more with herbal energies. I've got some herbs in my kit right now, but I haven't been working with them. I haven't been studying them. So that's something I'd like to dive into. And having this space, this channel to sort of talk about some of this stuff and explore it with all of you is really exciting and motivates me to want to play more and dig in more. So I'm hoping to share more of that with you as we go through. But definitely I'm excited about those boxes. I will get one of each box for sure in the month of October, so I will hopefully have some goodies to play with for Samhain, and I might be sharing some of that. I will probably, I mean, everything's kind of a big mishmash. Like in my head, I think I'm going to keep witchy videos a little bit separate from tarot videos so you can kind of pick and choose what you want to watch. Because certainly I don't believe in any way, shape, or form that if you're into tarot, you're also a witch. Some of us are both. Some of us are into tarot and also following a Christian path or a Buddhist path or a mixed path, whatever. It's all good. Tarot's for everybody. But so I might keep the two somewhat separate, but I'm sure there will be some commingling here and there. And with that, I think I'll probably put this video up next week sometime. Today it's a Saturday. I'm just trying to think so I don't inundate you all with all the content all at once because I'm filming it all at once. All right, I'm going to wrap this up and finish my cold coffee. I hope wherever you are having a beautiful day or you have a beautiful evening or morning, wherever it is that you might be. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you all again very soon.